Duncan Bureau, Jason Lee, it's a great honor and privilege to welcome you to Airline Profits Executive Interviews. How are you gentlemen doing today?
I'm fantastic. I'm sitting in Victoria, British Columbia this morning. Absolutely beautiful day. The Canadian West Coast, probably one of the prettiest places on earth. So I'm actually having a great start to my day.
Wonderful. How about you, Jason?
Glad to be here. Calling in from Ottawa, Ontario. Also taking and enjoying the outdoor scenery and the nice weather. It's very good.
Cool. So in today's interview, we'll be talking about the use of smart technologies in airline aviation industry, specifically the Smartcone. But before we do that, I would proceed with some introductory questions to allow the audience to know a little bit more about you. So I'll start with Duncan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are like a veteran in the airline industry. You worked as a senior executive for major airlines around the world, including Air Canada, WestJet, Etihad, Malaysian Airlines, just to name a few. So as an introduction, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got started in the aviation industry?
Sure. Well, you can tell by the gray hair that I've been around for a long time. And the aircraft tattoo on my arm, I think probably will also attest to the fact that I'm addicted to this industry. You know, I started my career in a very little known airline called Greyhound Airlines. And so Greyhound, the bus company, had aspirations of launching an airline, intermodal travel, really fantastic business plan on paper. I'll just emphasize on paper. And, you know, I think I've always had a love of aviation. And my first experience of an aircraft was flying from Johannesburg to the UK when I was very, very young. And I knew then that I wanted to be a part of airlines and work in the aviation sector. So it's been a lifelong passion, airplanes, flying. I'll get in anything that lifts off the ground and flies. You know, I started my career at Greyhound. I moved to Canadian Airlines, had fantastic opportunities to move throughout the organization, get some international experience, came back to Canada. And at that time, the merger between Air Canada and Canadian Airlines was occurring. I got headhunted into the technology industry with Nortel. I did join Nortel for a little while, and then I quickly realized that my passion is really in aviation. So I went back to aviation, working with WestJet, and had the incredible opportunity to work with Clive Beddoe and the founders of WestJet, at Don Bell, Tim Morgan, and Mark. And so really had an opportunity to learn a lot about the business. From there, I went to Malaysia Airlines and had a tremendous experience there. Unfortunately, I was there when MH370 happened, and I was part of the executive team. And something none of us in aviation ever want to be a part of is something as dramatic as a loss like that. After Malaysia, I went to Air Canada, where, again, I had the opportunity to work with, you know, really one of the leading brands in the world. Got to work with Kaylin Rovanescu, who I think is one of the top minds in aviation around the world. Just a tremendous opportunity to work with someone of that caliber. I got the opportunity to become president of Air Canada Rouge, which, again, phenomenal team, incredible organization. And after that, I went to Etihad in the Middle East, and my timing was not particularly good. I think I was there for about 10 minutes, and then the whole COVID situation occurred. And, you know, Tony Douglas was obviously the CEO there. I'm going to put you on mute for 1 second as this jet flies overhead.
He loves it so much, he hangs out.
I love it so much that I want to sit at the end of a runway. I love airplanes that much. So, you know, I got to work with Tony Douglas and the team at Etihad. Unfortunately, we had to sit aircraft down. I didn't really get an opportunity to really grow the business there. You know, we sat all of the entire fleet down, and everyone knows what happened with COVID. After COVID, I came back to Canada. And had the opportunity to start an airline. Canada Jetlines, which in fact just announced today that they are taking their third aircraft. So I was part of a really phenomenal team there with Ed Doyle, and again, just a tremendous group of aviators. That airline is now up and running and going to create some disruption in the Canadian marketplace. And today, I'm spending some time with Jason and his organization at Smartcone, and just absolutely love the technology that they're doing. And I see tremendous application and benefit for the aviation sector. So that's kind of my career in a quick overview.
Very good. Thank you very much, Duncan. So I think we're going to have a very good time here while you share your experience, and especially how smart technologies can be used to enhance the industry. So I'll go to Jason very quickly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but you are more of an entrepreneur, an innovator, and a leader in the tech industry. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and what's maybe of interest to the aviation industry as part of your daily operation?
So when I was a kid, I don't know, my first memories, I guess, my mother would follow me around saying, you need to have a notebook for all the great ideas that you keep coming up with. And it took me a long time to take her to that at heart, but I am absolutely an innovator and entrepreneur. It's in my blood right from the beginning. And so throughout my career, I've had a pleasure of working in different industries, from data science to manufacturing technology to aviation, mining, asset tracking, security. I just love stuff, and I like solving problems. So when we created Smartcone, we created it in a way that can foster innovation quickly and spin up new products to solve problems. And so that's what Smartcone really is. It's an ecosystem to create and solve problems quickly. And so I started in the aviation industry about 25 years ago and loved it. It's by far my favorite market. It's got great people, great opportunities. It's almost recession proof, depending on what part of it you get into. Almost not COVID proof, but it still came out, was resilient through that too. But really, it's the people that I love the most. They're just really great people, and there are some significant problems and challenges when you're moving $150 million aircraft around a runway, and you have to do it quickly and safely. And about 20% of the people who move aircraft cycle in and out of the jobs. And so that means there's a lot of turbulence in how things, training, know-how, and so on. And this is a perfect opportunity for the Smartcone ecosystem to come in with know-how and the right people to solve a variety of problems. What we really like to do is solve problems in a way that are intuitive to the user, to help capture that know-how, that tribal knowledge, and bring it down into the solution so people go, aha, this is intuitive, okay. So building safety and efficiency into that product for us is the key part. So we've built that into our ecosystem again. And now with Duncan's help and a few others, we're identifying some great challenges in the aviation industry, working with United and other companies to test out and trial this technology. And so far, things are going very well.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jason. Now, would you tell us specifically what markets are you pursuing with the Smartcone technologies?
You mean within the aviation industry, or?
Yes. Well, I mean, at large, but specifically in the aviation industry.
Our primary market now is the ground handling market, where we're helping people move aircraft and assets around ramp quickly, and so they can do a quick and safe turnaround and be as efficient as possible. We do asset tracking. We also do just full-on safety, like, for example, the heat stress monitoring system that Duncan was alluding to, called Heat Guardian. And, being on a ramp or at a gate or at a taxiway or whatever, in today's global heat problem, and that's getting worse, as we all know. So we've licensed a technology from a university in Canada, which has the only gold standard data on how heat affects human beings. And so we've created a scheduling program so people can rotate through job duties to minimize the delays and impact related to heat, but then increase and maximize the safety to every human being who's out on the ramp. And so, it's kind of all across the board as far as different markets within the aviation industry. We also do some stuff in travel and some other things, but that's a secondary market. Our primary one right now is the safety of the people and the assets.
I think one thing, Jason, we should highlight as well is the cognitive ability for people to make good decisions and be aware of what's going on around them. And when you think of the extreme heat, let's use Phoenix as an example. They've experienced 118 degrees for the last 20 days. And when you start thinking about people working in those environments who are moving extremely expensive equipment and their ability after extreme exposure is something that Heat Guardian will assist in to make sure that there aren't those human errors and creating contact of assets and aircraft, or even aircraft to aircraft, which we know is happening more and more and more. And we believe that part of that issue is around exposure to heat and the amount of time that someone's in that environment.
Okay. Now, so can I assume that your market is not just airlines, but also airports?
Yeah. So, sorry, Jason. So I think the 4 sectors that we've identified are airports, hull insurance companies globally, airlines, and ground handlers. Those really are the 4 key segments that we think this adds tremendous value to. So if you're a hull insurance provider, being able to reduce the amount of contact between aircraft or ground equipment and aircraft, and then from an airport perspective, having a safer environment, not only for your employees. So some airports, as you know, control or manage or provide the ground handling services. So again, that's their direct employees. Ground handlers who are managing those workforces, and again, are responsible for delivering service to airlines that include ground handling equipment and the movement of aircraft assets. So those are kind of what we see. Jason, would you add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would add to that is private aviation. And I know that gets lumped into the airports and the airlines, but private aviation does have a different operation regarding people on the ramp and gate workers and so on. It is its own landscape with respect to that. And just to add to the whole conversation, one of the biggest challenges that the aviation industry has with the heat stress thing is misclassifying injury. A minute ago, Duncan had referred to the cognitive impairment of people as they experience heat illness, and that makes it harder to make decisions. You get dizzy, falls, trips, and so on. And so a lot of people are misclassifying what that means, and so we help organizations realign their analytics so they can really see where the problems are. That's always the first step, and it's a really big eye opener. I don't want to answer that question too early though, because I know you have that question coming up, so maybe I'll just end it there.
Okay, very good. So I'll turn to Duncan now. You've been in the airline industry for a long time, so I will ask you the question directly. What are the potential benefits of the Smartcone to airlines in terms of safety, productivity, operational efficiency, and cost reduction?
Well, there's so many areas here that Jason and his team are addressing. I'll start off with the very obvious one, which is contact between aircraft. Obviously, aircraft-to-aircraft contact takes 2 aircraft out of service immediately and creates enormous cost to the airlines and inefficiency at the airport as well. And depending on the amount of damage, could create a significant risk to passengers. If both of those aircraft that come in contact have passengers on board, there's risk to injury. So not only the physical asset, but also risk to injury of passengers and crew. So again, the avoidance of that by using the Smartcone technology will allow the avoidance of contact between aircraft. The other thing is, as vehicles approach aircraft, again, whether it's a belt loader, whether it's a catering truck, whether it's a fueling truck, again, avoiding anything coming in contact with the hull of the aircraft, taking that aircraft out of service, enormous benefit to all stakeholders, whether it's passengers, airlines, insurance companies, airports, or ground handlers. So there's literally billions of dollars of damage done in a year globally in the aviation sector of contact to an aircraft. And whether that aircraft is coming in contact, even moving an aircraft into a hangar, moving an aircraft outside of a hangar on a tarmac or to a bridge. And even the bridge itself being moved up to the aircraft. Again, there's opportunity to reduce risk, eliminate contact, and obviously improve efficiency. If we can turn an aircraft without incident, that's a win for the airline business. If we can turn the aircraft in a timely manner, reduce the amount of time that an aircraft's on the ground by being more efficient and more confident with the movement of those assets. Again, that's a huge benefit to the airline. Airlines are constantly criticized for cancellations and interruptions. This, to me, is one of those that would be the fingerprints are on the knife of the airline, and they have an opportunity here to avoid this particular type of IROP. And again, the confidence that Jason and his team give airlines in moving assets without that contact is phenomenal. If I'm running an airline, I want to be able to, I want to make sure that my airplanes aren't hitting other airplanes and other airplanes aren't hitting my airplane. And again, the brand damage done from, interruption, and if you've got an aircraft that's in an international market and you don't have a recovery, if it's a Canadian flagged aircraft in the Middle East, that's 13 hours before you're getting another airplane there, and that's best case scenario. So again, passenger interruption, asset protection, and flyer protection are all things that are incredibly important to the aviation sector that Jason's team addresses.
Very good, thank you. I think this is going to be a game changer for the industry at large. So I'll turn to Jason now. What should an airline, for example, have in place in terms of infrastructure or human resources before adopting the Smartcone technologies?
So the number one thing we start with on the MOVE team is their standard operating procedures. That's always the first thing. We always want to know how it is that they operate. Most of them are the same, but there are some slight differences. So we take their standard operating procedures. We have a workshop with the management team and the head of the MOVE team to ensure that we can enforce their standard operating procedures first, or help them shape it so it becomes more fluid with the technology. That's the first thing. And then once that happens, it's really working with their team. We create job profiles for everyone who's at each gate, whether it's a narrow body, a wide body, or tech ops, or whoever is on the ground. And we help train them with how to use the equipment. And that's really what it is. But it's making sure, though, that we align with the standard operating procedures that they already use, or the heat illness plan, and so on. And then we help improve those with the technology, and so that's a nice fluid delivery. So it's the culture really more than the people. I mean, everybody has kind of the same people, but unless we embed with the way that they operate, we don't want to create a conflict. Instead, we want to create a parallel flow, and we want them to see that there's increase in efficiencies and decrease in contact time after time after time. And you do that by building into the culture of the organization, and that's through those documents and procedures that they already have. I mean, the aviation industry is renowned for having amazing quality and procedures, right? So ensuring that those can integrate into your technology is key.
Okay.
I think the only thing I would add to that is, every airline executive I've ever met, safety is core in their culture, and the number one item that they focus on and they want their teams to reinforce over and over and over again. So this helps with that from a culture perspective.
Okay. Now, in your efforts to promote the Smartcone to the aviation industry, how ready do you sense most airlines are in their adoption of smart technologies in general, and yours in particular?
So for Smartcone Technologies, just because there is another company called Smart Technologies, so we are Smartcone Technologies.
Okay.
So we actually we came to the industry back in 2013 originally to the aviation industry. We're actually called Smartcone because of the aviation cone that surrounds the airplane on the ramp. Mm-hmm. But the aviation industry was not ready to buy the equipment back then. Insurance wasn't as high, and the incidents weren't as high as they are now. It was interesting. They liked the idea because they have a commitment to safety, but it just wasn't the right time for the market. And about 3 years ago, I guess insurance went up, and incidents started to increase, and so it was clear to the aviation industry at large that they needed to do something more than what they were doing now. So about 3 years ago, we started to get back into the aviation industry. We were called and pulled back in. They had remembered us from a decade before, and it's just now time. It's a completely different conversation. We've talked to many airlines, and it's the same everywhere we go, that this is a problem they all want to solve. And so I would say from an interest perspective, the market is now. From a monetary perspective, we make a positive impact on the cost of operations because of reducing impact and injury and so on and so forth. So that's how we know. We came to the market before it wasn't time. We're here now, and it is time.
Okay, very good. So would you say there are some airlines already incorporating the Smartcone technology into their operations?
We're just coming into market now, so we have some trials going on with airlines now that are going very well. So, but we have a lot of experience in this industry. We've been working with the private aviation folks for quite a while, so there's been good feedback along the way. But this season will be the first season they start to use it operationally.
Okay, very good. Now I'll turn to Duncan. Duncan, as someone who has held many leadership positions in major airlines around the world, in your opinion, how important would the use of technologies like IoT or artificial intelligence and things like that make airlines better in terms of safety, operational efficiency, and profitability?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So again, this technology really allows for the protection of assets and consumers in the flying public. And again, that then translates into efficiency and improves operating costs for the airlines. If I can avoid having an aircraft run into my aircraft and have to sit that aircraft down for 6-8 weeks, depending on where the aircraft is and the amount of damage. That obviously is something that I definitely want to do. Most importantly, as an airline executive, I want to protect the passengers and my crew and anyone working around that aircraft. So again, this technology really allows that. And I think that anytime we can incorporate technology to make us more efficient, technology to help us predict and even potentially avoid incidents. So again, if you think of heat cone, which Jason and his team have developed, heat cone is something that is really more on the front of preventing accidents by being able to identify the ideal amount of time that an individual is or can be exposed to extreme weather conditions, and their ability to, from a cognitive perspective, to make the right decision at the right time. And so again, all of these things help airlines be more efficient and protect their assets as well as their customers and their employees. So again, I'm a big advocate of what Jason and his team have developed here, and I think it's something that the airline industry, once they see it, is going to be very excited about.
Very good. Now, back to Jason. Assuming someone listening to this interview were interested in the Smartcone, what would be the best way to reach you? Is there any website they can visit? Is there any way to contact you? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a website, which is www.thesmartcone.com.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. And what would be your closing statement or perspective to share before we end this interview? Still, Jason.
Well, first, I appreciate the opportunity. It's through channels like this that we spread the word, so we appreciate very much the opportunity to speak with you. We're having a great time solving problems in the aviation industry. The people in the industry have been excellent with us and embraced us with open arms. We can see that we're making a difference that's going to help the world become a better place, the aviation become a better place, and create efficiencies at the same time. So we're very excited about that, and excited about developing additional long-term relationships with other aviation partners.
Thank you very much. Duncan, what would be your closing statement?
Well, look, I just want to reiterate, I think airlines, when they see this technology, and again, it's all about safety. And I can tell you, every single airline executive I've ever met, safety is at the core of everything they do. And they want to protect their employees, they want to protect their passengers, and they want to ensure a safe operation and an efficient operation. And this technology will help them meet that goal. So, we're very much looking forward to having discussions with CEOs around the world and proving this technology. We're in 3 pilots now. Once those pilots are complete, we're going to roll it out. And I think that the participants and the pilots today are extremely optimistic about the outcome and what we're going to be able to prove to them.
Good. So Duncan Bureau, Jason Lee, many thanks for joining us today on Airline Profits Executive Interviews. Please keep us posted on the progress of your Smartcone technology, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.